everyone, I had a comment on one of my videos yesterday saying that I'd restuffed one of my dolls, and it wasn't a video actually, it was a picture I'd posted on Facebook. Somebody commented that they were afraid to restuff a doll, so I'm going to show you how I do it. I've shown how I do it before, but this is my little Carter. I've had him for a while, and I've never restuffed him or anything. He was a Temu doll. So the first thing I do is take off the zip ties. Now, to take off a zip tie, you find the zip tie in the little, they are in a slot, and that's what holds the limbs in place. And what you do, you get your scissors underneath the zip tie like this, and just snip and pull the zip tie out, and then your limb will come out. You can see there's a zip tie. I actually loosened that one, but because it's so loose, I'm going to cut it as well. So with the limb in place, let's put this just here to show you. You find the zip tie, get your scissors underneath it and just snip it. My scissors aren't very tight, and then just pull the zip tie out. So to restuff my baby, to get him weighted, to restuff him, I use poly pellets, plastic poly pellets. I get these on Amazon. I don't use the glass beads, I use the plastic poly pellets. You'll need some kind of wadding. This is actually from another doll that I've just been reweighting, and I took a load of stuffing out of her. And you will need some zip ties. Again, I buy these on Amazon, and I buy the big ones so that I can cut them down rather than them not being big enough. So yeah, some of these are smaller, but yeah, most of them are the long ones. So here is he's called Carter. And I want him to have a little bit of weight in his head, because he's not quite, he wouldn't be quite old enough to hold his head up fully yet. So I want him to have a little bit of weight in his head. To do that, you'll either need a sock or some stockings or old tights, anything you can hold your poly pellets in. I, again, buy these on Amazon. They are, I think there's 20 in there, pack of 10 pairs. They're very, very thin though, so I do have to double them up. I have ordered I've ordered myself a funnel, but it's not here yet, so I end up spilling these all over the place usually. But we'll just finish off this packet here. Yeah, a bit more than that. Get sort of the weight you want. You know, I want his head to sort of tilt back a little bit, but not fully drop back. This is the centre of a tape reel, and it'll hold that open for me. So I've got a bigger hole to pour my poly pellets into. This is a new packet I'm starting on, so I'm just going to cut a little corner piece off it, so that I've got like a little funnel there. And then I can pour my beads in. I think that'll be enough. Oh, yeah, I think that'll be enough. So what I'm going to do is, because this is a very thin stocking, I'm going to tie it there like that, and then I'm going to go pop it inside itself again, so it's a double layer. And I'm going to tie it again. I've done it quite loose because I'm going to have a problem getting it in his head, and I want it to go into the back of his head about here. So let's take some more stuffing out, because he's got quite a bit in there. I'm going to struggle to get it in otherwise. So unstuff his head. If you want a magnetic dummy in your baby and it doesn't have one, now is the time to put one in. You just put glue on one side. Make sure it is the right side that you're gluing in to your baby. Make sure it's the side you know that will stick to your dummy. So check before you. Somewhere I've got a magnetic dummy. Let me see if I can find my magnetic dummy. The bit that sticks to your dummy, that repelled it, so that's the side that sticks to the dummy. That's the side we want to glue to the inside of the mouth. So the bit that's sticking to the dummy, that's where the glue needs to go, on that bit. So that's the bit that the dummy sticks to, like that. That's the bit you'd put your glue on. So you put your glue on there, hold it on your finger like this, I find is the easiest way. Pop it into the head like that and glue it up at the back of the mouth. He's already got one in, so I don't need to do that with him. But yeah, that's how you do that. He does have his dummy in, so we're all right with that. Now, where did I put his the stocking for his head? I'll just gently poke it in, because it won't, you know, it's too big to go in all in one go. It will go in though if you just gently poke it in. Get it to where you want it. I want it at the back there, at the back of his head, so that it'll just, you know, just tip a little bit when I lift him up. And then I'm going to restuff the head, making sure that that's holding that stuffing in place and holding his, you know, vinyl where we want it to be, holding his little cheeks out. And yeah, stuff it in until you're happy that you've got enough in there. Yeah, this is from a pickle sculpt. I took loads out of her, but I did really stuff her arms well. I've stopped putting the beads in their arms. I only put them in their legs now, because I don't want them to be too heavy, and because I don't like that crunchy feel. There, that's gonna be lovely. I'm so chuffed with him. He's a lovely, lovely baby. Yeah, so that's his head done, apart from if I wanted to add some eyelashes. I do have some eyelashes here that I bought on either eBay or AliExpress. If I wanted to add them, put them just there like that and just pop a little bit of glue on, trim them to the size I want them, pop a little bit of glue on and glue them on. That actually is a really, they do really match well, that colour does. But I don't think he needs eyelashes. To me, he doesn't need them. He looks good without them. Yeah, I don't always put eyelashes on my dolls. Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't think he needs them. I could put them on, you know. I don't know. For now, I don't think I'm going to put them on. So I now have a very dark brown. It's not quite black. It's very dark brown Faber-Castell watercolour pencil. And what I'm going to do is just draw a few little eyelashes just onto the edge, just on the edge of his waterline there, just so that he's got a hint of eyelashes. This is purely optional. If you don't want, you know, if you want to glue on the eyelashes, do that. It's entirely up to you. Some babies just don't need eyelashes, do they? They don't need the glued on ones. You can get away with them just drawing on a few. There we are. You can see that I've just drawn on a few. Yeah, so he has got the look of eyelashes now without me actually gluing any on. There we are. And if you're worried about doing that and making a hash of it, that will just wipe straight off with a wet cloth. To keep it on, I will paint over it with some matte varnish later. But yeah, for now, that's his eyelashes. So that's his head all done now. If I wanted to re-gloss his lips, I would use some either Mod Podge it would have to be gloss, some gloss varnish just to paint over them again if I wanted to. I might put a little bit up into his nostrils, a little bit into the corner of his eyes, just a bit of the gloss varnish to, you know, to make those bits look wet that normally are on a baby's face. So I'm happy with his head now. Let's do the body next. So his body, I don't want it, I'm not worried about him being able to, I want him to be able to curl up. You know, I'm not worried about him being able to sit up, because he's not going to be able to sit up. He'll be too young to sit up. So I want his body to be quite, you know, I don't want it to be really firm. So I'm going to give him I'm not going to give him normally I would do a sausage shaped stocking for his spine, the weight down the middle of his body. And then I would make a little bottom. So I'll show you. This is how I do the sausage shaped piece. Anything round like this would be great, or a funnel would be even better. I just don't have a funnel yet. I've ordered one. And then tip your beads in. I would use this is just me. I'm no expert at this. I've taught myself to do it. I would just tip in. I'd use as many beads for the sausage bit of the middle, you know, the middle of his body, as I would for his bottom. So I'm going to do his bottom, but I'm going to show you how I do the sausage bit for the middle of his body. So that to me, that probably is actually a little bit too much, but I would do that. I'd tie it, double wrap it and tie it again, and that would be the weight for the middle of his body. And I'd place that inside his body like that at the back, and then I'd make his bottom. This is going to be his bottom now. And to make his bottom, this is just how I do it. It's not any, you know, I'm not saying that this is how this is how I do it. So I'll make my little pouch like that, check that it'll fit in where his little bottom would go, his little bottom at the back there. Look, he does have a, let's turn him over. He does have a gathered piece just there. So I'm going to pop that stuffed bit into there and just check it's not too big. I may have got too many in here. Let's see, I don't want him to have a massive bottom. No, I think that'll be all right. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. So this is what I do. It's not what you have to do. It's not what everybody does. So now I've done that, I'm going to tie it. Oops. And as I say, I'm double tying these because they are not very strong, and I've had beads. If you squeeze it, the beads will come out of it, and I don't, you know, that's not what we want, is it? So I'm giving it a double thickness so it won't come out. Now I need to make sure with this double thickness that it's still going to be long enough to do my bottom trick. Yeah, I think it will. We'll just tie that a little bit just there like that. So that's that. Could have done with a tiny bit longer stocking, really. It'll be all right. It'll be fine, it'll be fine. There we are. So then I like to find the middle of the stocking like this, the stockinette, and then I get a fairly strong elastic band, or you could get a hair tie, you know, a proper elastic hair tie. That's what I would usually use, but I don't actually have one to hand. And I'm going to put it around the middle like this. Doesn't have to be too tight. But then when you put that in his body, his bottom will stay bottom shaped. So here's his bottom. Just here, you can pop it in through the leg hole, you can pop it in through the neck hole, however, you know, whichever is easiest for you. And you would do the right size for your doll. So this might be a tiny bit bigger than I would normally do for him. But let's put it in and I'll show you. Because I'm not doing him any weight down the middle of his body, I am, you know, I'm not worried about it being a bit heavier, him being a bit heavier in the booty. So let's see. Yeah, that will be most of the weight down the, will be there. Look, you can see his little round bottom now. And you can see how it gives it that nice shape because I put the elastic in the middle. So now I'm going to restuff his body, but I don't want it to be majorly stuffed. I want him to have stuffing down the bottom here to hold that bottom in place. So I'll pop a bit more in round there, like that. And I think, yeah, I think I'm pretty much happy with his body now. Yeah, so that's his body ready to be put back on. So we've got his head and his body done. Now for the limbs. So for the legs, these are stuffed full of stuffing, which for some people, you know, if you have back problems like I do, you probably don't want your doll to weigh much, so you probably would just stuff them with the cotton, and that's what I've done previously by the look of it. Or what has been done to him previously. I don't think I've actually done anything to him, if I'm honest. I think this is how he came. But he is stuffed right down. I don't think his feet haven't got any stuffing in them. But yeah, I can get the stuffing out. You can hear that noise, you know that you've got all the stuffing out. I'm going to pour the plastic beads as enough in to come up to his knee, to about here like that on him. So, and you'll feel he'll have them in his foot, so it'll keep his foot held in shape. So this is how this little hole will come in handy. Watch me tip them everywhere. So let's see how we're getting on. Let's get them, yeah, down into his foot. That's good. Yeah, I've nearly filled his whole leg up. Look, I've got to pour some of that back in. Look, because I've nearly filled his whole leg up. What I'll do is I'll pour them into the other leg. So that, yeah, I've got about half of the top of his thigh filled as well there. Got way too many in there. I overestimated how big his leg was, bless him. Okay, so that's empty now. So let's pour some of these out of here into here. There, I think I've got enough in both of them now. They're both full up to the knee mark, about here. And they both have roughly the same amount in them. So the next thing I'm going to do is stuff the leg back up with the wadding. I call it wadding, it's toy stuffing. Make sure it's fire retardant and safe for children. Even though this is for an adult doll, you never know who it's going to belong to in the future, so I always want to make sure that, you know, you're being safe. I'm actually using the wadding that came out of him originally, so that's the legs ready to be popped back on. The last thing we need to do is the arms. Now you can feel that there's no stuffing down in his hand there. This is going to be difficult to get out because the hole in his arm is weeny, because he is a tiny baby. He's only a little like newborn size, so you have to just very carefully pull this out. I know that a lot of people do put beans in the hands as well, but I've stopped doing that. I've just started just making sure there's enough wadding in the hands and poking it, you know, making it nice, and still haven't got any in there, has it? Just be careful, but you can see you can be quite rough with them and you're not going to break them. There we go, I've got some wadding in his hand now. You can hear it's not making that plasticky sound like it was before. So stuff that right down into his hand. Yeah, that's nice and stuffed now, so I can carry on, and if I can get the stuffing back in, because the hole is tiny, it really is. So I'm using my massive long pliers that I don't know where I got them from. Well, they're not pliers, they're tweezers. I don't know where I got these tweezers from, but they're perfect for getting things in and out of these tiny limbs on some of these reborns. Yeah, I'm stuffing his arms really well, but I'm not putting any weight in them. I don't feel the need to put any weight in them. You know, I do have back problems, and so I don't want him to be any heavier than you know, need be. But I still feel that he's stuffed enough. You know, I wouldn't hesitate to sell him stuffed like this. I think, you know, he's stuffed well enough. Not that I'm going to sell him, I'm going to keep him, but yeah, I'm currently going through all my dolls and reweighting them, and it's his turn today, so it's your turn today, isn't it? Little Carter. Yeah, you see his arm looks nice and firm now, doesn't it? There we go. So the next thing we need to do is pop the limbs back on. So I've got them all in the right position. And we get our zip ties. I'm going to need 5, 1 for each limb and 1 for the head. So 5 zip ties, 1 for each body part. So I can get away with a smaller one for the leg. That is a smaller one. Pop them in so that you have the thicker, bigger bit is sticking up. And you just slide them in, and they'll come all the way around. Like so. Then you get your limb into position. Make sure that your zip tie is in the ridge. There's a ridge there, look. Actually, I'm going to use a longer zip tie for that one. As you say, make sure you put it in right so that that bit's sticking up. Slide it in, it'll go all the way around like that. You can, if you want to, start it off. You can just, because it's a bigger one, we've got plenty of room. Pop your limb in and make sure that the zip tie part that's in that little sleeve of fabric is actually in this part here, in where the slot is in the top of the limb. And then you make it as tight as you want. Now, if you're not bothered about the limbs moving, don't do it too tight, or they won't, you know, you can do it as tight as you like. But if you want your limbs to move, don't do it too tight. So I'm going to leave mine like that so that my limbs will move. Okay. And then I'm just going to, you can either trim this bit off and melt it with a lighter, or you can tuck it in. I like to tuck mine in and then there's no sharp bits. That's what I like. So I'm going to tuck mine into the sleeve, and there we go. That's one limb on. And as I say, I've made it so that it will move if I want it to. It's not too tight. So then we do the same with the next one. Pop your zip tie in. Start it off if you want to. If you go wrong with the zip tie, cut it and put another one in. It's not the end of the world. So make sure that the zip tie is in that ridge again, and then tighten it up. Do it tight enough so that the leg won't come out, you know, but if you want the leg to move, you can leave it loose enough so that the leg will move, which is what I'm doing with mine. It's not ever so movable, but it will move. Could have done with leaving it a little bit looser really, but then you don't want it coming out, so yeah, make sure it's tight enough not to come out. So that's the legs on. Then we go to the arms, same again, zip tie in. Start it off. We want this ridge here in again, in the ridge in the top of the arm, so that it will hold it in. You can see you can get away with smaller zip ties for this baby, for his arms anyway. Yeah, I think we'll leave that loose like that. That can still move his arms. Yep. That is a little bit long to be tucking in. It would go in and round the other side, wouldn't it? So I'm going to cut it shorter and then still tuck it in. This body on this doll is really good because the sleeve for the zip ties actually covers the zip tie up and is big enough for you to slide the spare part of your zip tie into the tunnel, into the sleeve. That's what I like to do because it doesn't leave any scratchy bits then. There we go. And like I say, his arm will move. It's got a movable arm. I have seen on Doll Happy 2 that they put super glue in that ridge, and it seems to make the arm move easier. It's not something I've tried because I've found that I can do it, you know, mine seems to work without the need of super glue, but I've seen them do that and it does seem to work really well. So yeah, that's something you could try. They just literally paint a line of super glue around it, leave it to dry, and then pop the arm on as usual, or the limb on as usual. There we are, you see, and that's covered that whole thing up, look. And it's still nice and movable. So the second arm, zip tie, and then again into that ridge with the zip tie in the sleeve, and it will, yeah, that works beautifully, doesn't it? Cut that off a bit shorter and slide it into the sleeve. And then pull the little bit of fabric over again, and you can't see the zip tie at all. Perfect. Then we do the head. So as I say, I'm not wanting my baby to sit up because he's a baby, he's too little to sit up. So pop your zip tie through the head, starts at the back, make sure you've got the closure the right way up, so you need the bumpy bit upwards. Feed it through the sleeve. I'm actually going to feed it that way. Just push it and it should go all the way round. Come out the other side. You can start it off if you want to. So pop the head on, and again, the same again. Make sure that the zip tie in the sleeve is in that ridge. It should end up like that. So then tighten it enough to hold it on. You can, this is how I test it, and see if the head will still move. It will, although it could do with being a tiny bit looser, could it? Or is it just that it's, yeah. If you have babies at home and you find that the limbs are too tight, you can just replace the zip ties and just not do them up as tight. I'm worried that might come off there now, so I'm just going to do it a little tad tighter. And then I'm going to feed the extra bit of the zip tie into the channel, cover it up with that fabric. Love how that body does that. And there he is, he's all done. So if you want to, you can curl him up a little bit. I've not made him too heavy. When I lift him up, you'll see that his head will drop back. His head will fall back like a baby's head would. So you have to hold his head. His limbs will move because they've got the weighting in them. I know they're only filled with stuffing, but because his body is not so well stuffed, you know, it will move. So let's get this little boy dressed. He does have an outfit because I took him out of it. I mean, personally, I don't mind bald babies, but I know not everybody likes them. So you could, you know, however your baby is, maybe you want to get them rooted or get someone to draw some hair on them. Personally, I don't mind. I like him. I love him like this. He's a gorgeous baby. So on with the nappy. On with the nappy, pap pap. He is a tiny little boy, but this nappy is actually quite a large one, and it does fit him. So he's so cute, though. I love his little face. Yeah, it does fit him, but you can see I've got it on the sort of the smallest setting for him. Then he's got his little vest, and he is in a size, I'm sure it's newborn. Yeah, 0 to 3 months, that says. So he probably would fit in a newborn as well as a 0 to 3 months. Yeah, as I say, is one I got off, I can't remember whether I got him off AliExpress or Temu, but it'd be one or the other. And he is a small baby. He's not very big. I do have babies of all sizes, but I like ones that fit in baby clothes, if you know what I mean. I prefer baby-sized babies rather than preemie-sized. You know, I mean, I know preemies are still babies, but you know what I mean, ones that'll fit into baby clothes. And then he has his gorgeous, I absolutely love this romper. I'm not sure whether that t-shirt is the one that came with it, but yeah, it's a lovely canvas romper, and it's got a pliqued octopus, fish and a crab on it, and it fits him so nicely. Yeah, it's the next one, I'm sure. And it is, let's have a quick look, next up to 3 months. Yeah, so it's different to the vest. The vest is not the one that originally came with it by the look of it, but it does fit him well. I don't know what kit he is, though. I couldn't tell you what kit he is. I just know he's a replica. But yeah, so there he is. He's done. He's got his little dummy on. Well, he hasn't got his dummy. He's got his name tag on. Like that. So there we are. I hope that was helpful to someone. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Say bye, Carter. Bye, everyone.